whether you're on the continent, working, collaborating with someone in the continent, but you have continent's best interests in mind. If you have that mindset, that essentially Africa first, a Pan-African mindset, that like, I feel that, it's built in Africa.
You're in the right place. Welcome to the Built in Africa podcast, where we connect trailblazers of the African diaspora through the unifying language of tech. On this episode, we connect with Uzoma Ayogu, CTO of Releaf. Let's get into it. On a mission to industrialize food processing in Africa to create shared prosperity, Uzo shares how Releaf is using software and proprietary hardware to grow food factories and improve logistics.
Yeah, so in very simple terms, we just focus on the vegetable oil industry. Okay. So we essentially buy palm nuts from smallholder farmers. And to do that, you have to know, okay, Mama Grace is in this specific location and we expect it to produce this much at this time. Now I have to coordinate vehicles to go to this place and that place. Mm-hmm. So it's like I wouldn't call it like Uber, but just essentially an internal tool that helps us, geotag where the people are, do trip planning, and then also like price transparency, as well as like payments. I'll talk about the payments more, but price transparency is a lot of the times like farmer will get told, oh, the price is 9 and the price is actually 10, and then the middleman will take 1, right? But if the farmer has equal information, just using like simple text-based like USSD, then you get rid of the opportunity to do that. So we buy those palm nuts from smallholders in our part of the country, eastern Nigeria, southeast region, and then we essentially have pre-processing centers, so call them like mini factories, which does the deshelling or the cracking and separation of those palm nuts, and then it produces palm kernel, which is what we sell to vegetable oil refineries. And so if you go to any food processing factory like across the continent, maybe not South Africa because they have more commercial farming, they will all tell you that like the number one challenge they have is like supply chain, not even necessarily finance, even though that is a challenge. But it's like, because you have to source from all these different people, either middlemen or farmers, because farming is dominated by smallholders, it's hard for you to get consistent quality and meet your processing capacity. So that's the problem that we're trying to fix, like doing the hard work of the sourcing, the quality control, and then selling it further downstream. Okay. Yeah, so we want to make the supply chains more efficient.
Every entrepreneurial venture starts with a burning desire to solve a problem, but getting from idea to execution is no walk in the park. Listen as Uzo discusses getting into Y Combinator and changing their initial business model.
Our thesis was like, initially it's like, African companies don't have the right advice. Then it's like, they actually just don't have money. They kind of know what to do. And the reason no one's investing is because people don't know about the opportunities. And that thesis was pretty wrong. But we got into YC with that idea, and that was like a game changer for us. And at the time, we had already, Ken and I were graduating. Said we weren't going to go. So I was supposed to go to Facebook. He was supposed to go to Bain. We had said like, we're young, like nothing much to lose, besides maybe some money in like the short run. And we're young. This is the time to like go ahead and get after it. So got into YC. That was really incredible. And our initial business model did not work. Like nobody wanted to pay us for access to the data, to the companies on our platform. We had like 80,000 businesses. But we found that a lot of them were Nigerian agribusinesses. So we're like, what kind of problems are those people having? Maybe we can do a SaaS product, a B2B product. And so like a lot of them just struggled with supply chain. The supply chains are very broken and fragmented. And we figured we needed to get on ground to figure that out. So after YC, we like immediately packed up everything, moved back.
Here's where things get interesting. Now on the ground in Nigeria and in search of a new business model, Uzo goes into how they landed on Palm.
So what we did specifically was we had all these people on our platform, and a lot of them wanted like trade financing. So essentially they would say, hey, I've got a buyer, but I just need working capital to buy from these farmers, and then I can execute this deal. And if you help me, then you can take some of the cut. So what we would ask for them in return, because we're taking on all the risk, we're giving people working capital with, at the time, our equity, was to say, okay, you have to let me see everything from end to end. So we would like hop in a bus with people we had just like were on in our database. We had about 80,000 businesses in our database. And like hop in a bus, packed bus, like anywhere from 4 to even 12, up to 12-hour bus ride, no AC, get there, meet the trader, go to the farm, like literally see like all the friction that exists from harvesting, weighing, storing, payments, logistics killed so many deals. Being able to better assess quality and like literally watch the deal from end to end, take notes on all the friction that existed. And then we did that we traveled to about 20 different states over 6 months, looked at 8 different crops. We really wanted to understand from like first principles, what are the challenges? And then where can we focus? So one, where can we focus along the value chain? Because you can be at the farm gate, at the pre-processing level, at the processing level, you know. So one, where do you focus? And then like what crop should you focus on? And then like what region? Because you want to be super like, you essentially want to be hyper-focused. And because we were running deals, we had all this information on the actual unit economics and all the hidden costs. And so we picked Palm because there were like strong unit economics. The cost to start wasn't that high. And then there's just a lot of latent demand.
Agriculture, the backbone behind modern civilization. Listen as Uzo shares why him and his co-founders decided to start an agritech business.
We all have a couple books that everyone on the team reads, and Why Nations Fail is one of them. And it's incredible to just think about like, all right, the reason you guys are focused on agriculture and industry is that like in the history of the world, no other phenomenon has moved more people out of poverty than like industrialization. And so anything that speeds up industrialization or makes it happen faster is going to be what the continent needs. There is literally nothing else that can assume or like absorb the population growth in terms of youth and create meaningful like lives and jobs over the next 2-3 decades. And so we've really got to think long and hard about how can I help speed up industry, and even maybe unsexy and not glorified, but that's the long and the short of it. And then the other thing, maybe the other two things are like we've got to think about what we read and what we consume about the continent, and make sure we're not reading only like Western perspectives and like Eurocentric perspectives, because you may see like some super cool article about like microgrids and like, because microgrids can help people like have light at night and charge their cell phones. But then you go a little bit deeper and you're like, okay, but what about so we can like generate real power, so we can be transformational? Like a lot of people, the mindset people have a lot of the time is like, oh, that's cute, that's innovation. They have like a poverty alleviation mindset, which means like it gets a little bit better. But people should be thinking about like, what can be transformational? What can make sure this next generation, they don't have to be only farmers. We don't have to be talking about, oh, you were on $1 a day, now you're on like $2. Well, okay, you're actually on 10, 14. So just like when you have, maybe think about more Afrocentric reading and like a basis, you do take like that larger, more long-term view of like, okay, this is really possible. We've built very successful civilizations. Like the Greeks came to us to learn about like math and science, and we forget a lot of that, I think. And so I think it does start like looking inward and getting to know our roots a bit more. There's like a famous Igbo proverb: if you don't know where the rain is beating you from, you can never get dry. And so like if we don't understand our history and what essentially got us necessarily here and who and how, it'll be hard for us to really go beyond. And a lot of the really great leaders that have either died or assassinated or whatever kind of told us these things years ago. And I really think like it could be time for us to like remember some of those things. Yeah.
And that's it for this episode. If you haven't already, check out the full article on our website, builtinafrica.io, found in the description. And while you're there, subscribe to our newsletter so we may keep you up to date with the latest. But until then, keep building.